In the last hour, our travel expert Kristin Harmel dropped in to tell us all about the celebration planned in England for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. This hour, Kristin's here to talk about how to travel back in time to experience life in England as it would have been toward the beginning of the Queen's reign. Welcome, Kristin.
Hi.
Okay, time travel. This is a new kind of travel segment here for the Buzz.
Well, I wish I could legitimately do a time travel segment. That would be a lot of fun. But this is actually about traveling to a group of islands off the southwestern coast of England called the Isles of Scilly. And they're really sort of remote and isolated from the mainland, so they've maintained sort of this air of being in the past. I mean, it's like nowhere else in England, and it actually has its own sort of subtropical microclimate there.
Wow.
I mean, it's the warmest place in England. It's completely different.
Oh, well, okay, so is there much to do there?
There is. Okay, so first of all, I would say, if you at all can, you have to spend at least one night at Star Castle.
Star
Castle has been turned into a hotel, but it's actually an 8-pointed castle that was built in 1593. But I mean, it's this award-winning, I think it's a 4-star hotel. It is very, very, very luxurious. It's actually owned by Prince Charles, which I think is fascinating. So if you're interested in sort of, the royal family and royal history, it's a great place to stay. There's a world-class restaurant there. The food is all sourced locally, or a lot of it is. They have their own vegetable garden, they have their own herb garden, and one of the proprietors of the hotel actually goes out and catches the lobster and the crab for dinner every night. It's absolutely incredible.
Okay, now this sounds like a page out of 50 Shades of Grey, the dungeon bar.
I didn't experience anything like 50 Shades of Grey at the dungeon bar. But it actually was the castle's dungeon. And there's a guy, the bartender there is named Dungeon Dave, and he'll give you a trivia quiz if you ask him. So it's just great fun. Yeah, it's also, if you can get over to Star Castle, you can sort of also take walks around the grounds. Or even if you're not staying there, at least drop in for dinner. There are walking tours around the island with a guy named Richard Larne, who's actually been knighted by the Queen. So he's actually an expert in shipwrecks. So he tells you lots of sort of naval and maritime history of the island. There's an archaeologist named Catherine Sawyer you can also take walks with. You can take a bus ride around St. Mary, which is the largest island and the one sort of with the most cars. There is a wonderful garden called Tresco Abbey Garden on the island of Tresco, which is one of the islands. And I think only 5 of the islands there are populated. And most of them, I mean, they don't really have, most of them don't have cars. I mean, it really is like it would have been 60 years ago at the beginning of Queen Elizabeth's reign.
So how do we get there?
Okay, so you can take a train from Paddington Station in London. It's called the Great Western. You take that down to Penzance in Cornwall, stay a night in Cornwall, or in Penzance, probably at the Hotel Penzance or somewhere nearby. Then you take a taxi to the Land's End Airport, and you have to go either by ferry, helicopter, or a very quick plane ride over to the islands.
More info on galtime.com.
How do you spend your gal time? Fashion, food, money, love, and sex? We've got it all covered at galtime.com. Visit us for the latest articles, pics, videos, and much more.